Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back. It's your boy Philip White back here for free refill episode number 21. Week 11 in the books. Dan Campbell in the box of shame. Raiders, Cowboys tonight in what may or may not be meaningless. Who knows? There's only one way to find out. There's only one thing you can find out about what's going to happen. That's very simple. It's watch the game. I'll have to do one quick thing. There we go. Look at that. What a weekend it was. A shootout between the Bills and the Buccaneers. A quarterback recently benched. One quarterback in the state has 6 touchdowns. Another one gets benched. I guess technically New Jersey, but that's life. What a week it was in the NFL. I'm excited. I'm excited to recap it here tonight on a Monday. Of course, the Raiders and the Cowboys will be facing off against each other tonight. Cowboys trying to keep whatever possible small chances they have for their wild card hopes alive tonight. Raiders are just probably desperate So, not exactly the high-stakes matchup, but hey, I have Brock Bowers in fantasy. I don't mind running up the score on my opponent. I'm excited to see what he can do tonight. Seriously, sometimes it's 46 points, sometimes it's 4 points. Last week. Hopefully that changes up. Regardless, as we always do, we're going to be ranking the games as we... Apologies for no Sunday performance. One of the co-hosts of Primetime with Taff and Phil came down with a little bit of a cold. It ain't me, so it was not me. Taff was feeling under the weather, so we will be back on Sunday next weekend. Hopefully he'll be here for Tuesday tomorrow. I will have to follow up with him there, or if not, we'll find someone who is able to fill in. That is just how we do. We improvise, we adapt, overcome. But a lot of huge storylines. A lot of quarterbacks also were knocked out of games this past weekend. I believe Rodgers left the game. Saw Love exit Packers. I want to say, I don't think a bunch of them. I'm trying to think. Why is it that the second I'm trying to think. I didn't get it. What 1 o'clock? I need to look at this. I need to look at it now. If I don't look at it, then I'm gonna keep screwing up, and I'm gonna be like, "What the heck? How do I know?" Oh. Remember, there were a bunch. Oh my god. Was all of them? A bunch of them. It was in the late window. It was all early window. I guess apparently someone said Herbert came out of the game for the Chargers. Bryce Young exited. Michael Penix exited. That was the game. That Falcons game, which is the classic. It's like every 12 games, Bryce Young plays the Falcons, convinces everyone he's the truth. I'm interested to talk about it. I'm excited to get into it. I've got all my takes for today, and then I'll be watching Raiders Cowboys to see how exactly. I'm almost feeling like the Cowboys lose this game, but it feels like also like, oh, they could win it and win big and maybe convince people that they're back. They're off their bye, so they should have a fairly easy time against the Raiders, but you never know these. Let's get into it though. We got some stuff to get into, which means we're gonna have to do some time traveling first. Before we even get started, this is prop correct. Let me that little tech wizard here. Let me just get the bye week teams out of the way. We did not see the Colts play. You can probably maybe for the better if you're one Daniel Jones. I know he was good against. He was okay-ish against Atlanta. He had like a big run that kept them in the third and game. That was 2 weeks ago, but probably needed some time for Daniel Jones to get right. The other team that we did not play is the Saints, which I'm actually was a little upset about. We didn't get to see them again. Development of Tyler Shook fascinates me, or Tyler Shuck fascinates me. Very excited to see. He feels better than I thought. And I think what's interesting is that he feels way better than I thought when you consider the talent that's there, consider how quickly he kind of just. I mean, like, maybe it was against Carolina, and I always call Carolina fraudulent, but for him to play fairly poised for a guy that we didn't even know we didn't think we might even see. It was interesting to see New Orleans. I wish we had seen him. We have not. Now to rank effectiveness of the wins, the toughness of the losses, who had some good performances, and who was absolute trash. Galaxy Trail. Starting off with the New England Patriots, and I'm going to say for New England, I don't think it was a goated performance. I don't think they dominated in the way that they expected, but for the most part, I think that is a strong win. Listen, what New England did with Travion Henderson in the game, they got him involved. I mean, he feels like the guy who needs. Listen, I don't know why they give so many touches to Ramondre Stevenson. It should be Travion Henderson, especially down the stretch with fresh legs. I think for New England now New England is in this conversation. They've changed from a dark horse playoff team that now has Super Bowl aspirations. Conversation around New England feels like it's changing. Right? Back to, wow, crazy enough New England playoff position. Very premium playoff position. You have Drake May playing well. Kayshon Boutte will come back at some point, who's been an excellent complement to Stephon Diggs. And a breakout game from Henderson, not to mention a well-coached defense by Vrabel. It feels like a team that has higher aspirations than just making the playoffs. Now the narrative around the New England Patriots to a point where if you're a team going in against them, and if you're a team for New England want to get there, the next step is continuing to improve the running, continuing to give Travion his touch, kind of keeping it by committee. I think it needs to stay by committee, just fresh legs overall, because I don't think there's a dominant back in there. I think there are some backs still very good roles. Like Ramondre feels much more like a power back. Travion has a lot of other different qualities. Catching the ball out of the backfield, right? The run between the tackles, a little shiftier runner. That's what New England needs to do to continue to put themselves in position, not just be a team that makes the playoffs, maybe win. We're talking about a run to a. They feel. I don't want to say they're there to be able to do that. There's still there's a whole month and a half left of football, of regular season football. Fortunately, makes me sad because I want closer to 2. They're getting there. The narrative, the discussion around New England changed a little bit. They are, in order for them to stay in that conversation as a team that is more than just a dark horse playoff team, they need to keep the run game going. They need to keep the ball out of the other team's hands, and they've been doing a good job. Better at it, and I think that's very scary for a lot of teams. Moving along to Patriots, of course, the team that they defeated, the New York Jets. The New York Jets. I don't have many words. I have to be honest. Listen, normally I'd say it was a bad loss. Now bench Justin Fields, not okay. I mean, bad franchise, 2-8. The expectations, especially after week 1, were so high. You could feel it was palpable. Like when I went to that Jets Steelers game, the expectation for New York. The palpable, like, man, the Jets, they feel like they're turning a corner, and now they're in this new position where, not even new position, just the same old position. They're not good. They have now benched Justin Fields officially. Tyrod Taylor is going to be the starter forward from what I have heard. I'm surprised it took this long. I understand maybe why it took this long, because you're out hope for Justin Fields, but I don't think this was even a game that was really all his fault. Adonai Mitchell had some bad drops. for a debut, that's probably one of the worst debuts of a player on a new team I have maybe ever seen. That was not good. 3 very clear drops that could have been potential differences in the game for the New York Jets. I think if he catches those, maybe this game is closer at least. But this was not okay, and I don't think if you're the Jets moving forward, I wouldn't want Justin Fields on my roster next. Personally, I would want to move. I would see if someone would be willing to take him. Maybe a high, maybe like an Andy Reid would want him as a backup. Maybe like a Kyle Shanahan might take him in as a backup. I don't want Justin Fields on my. If I'm a fan of the New York Jets, I don't want him on the team. I think it's just he's not gonna start. You're not gonna want him to start. It's not a guy you can really learn from behind, right? Like if you're learning behind a veteran who's done it for years and years and has a lot of real. Not to say that Justin Fields doesn't have knowledge to pass on to younger game, but he's now synonymous with another bad free agent signing that the New York Jets had in a long string of bad decisions by the New York Jets. Now you're in this position where now you're stuck. Are you really going to stick with him for another year? I mean, I don't think anyone's going to take him at that contract, but it's just, it's bad. It's bad. The only good thing, they only paid him 2 years, so they're not stuck with him for an incredibly long amount of time. But it has been a rough position for the Jets. I honestly think the reason that Aaron Glenn is doing this now, is making the decision, is because I think there is and this is just speculation, this is based off of no reports. I truly believe Aaron Glenn is coaching for. I think Aaron Glenn needs to prove that he has brought something better to New York Jets than what he's had previously. Because this defense doesn't feel great. Like, they had good players in the locker room. That was the whole point of bringing in Aaron Glenn. Like, they've always gone defense. I think for the New York Jets' sake, they need to go with an offensive. The last 2 coaches have been defensive, not led enough winning football. I'm concerned about whether or not Aaron Glenn. Not that I don't think he's a bad fit. Just I don't think he's a great coach, and I don't think he's shown anything this season that he's gonna need to prove that he's competent down the stretch. We'll see if that's possible moving forward for the Jets. But I'm skeptical. I'm very skeptical of it. When I saw the hire, I thought it was a solid hire, right? Again, you have to remember something. The Lions' defense was not great in the playoff game against Washington. I understand they were banged up, but they were not great. And there were a lot of moments where they struggled against high-end quarterbacks. You were going to be in division with Josh Allen. Like, remember that guy when he played Detroit last year? Aaron Glenn's defense? Yeah, he torched it. So, again, and when we looked at the stretch, the Jets will play Baltimore next. They will play the Ravens. They will play Atlanta. That's a winnable game, right? But they'll play Miami, play Jacksonville, they'll play New Orleans. But, like, if they lose to, like, New Orleans, if they lose to Miami, like, they're losing not just to good teams, they're losing to teams that are on the same level, if not worse than them. So, that's the issue that I see right now. If you're not able to show fight and competition so that you can make good decisions in those games, that's where I think Aaron Glenn could be coach. Enough of the Jets. Probably talk a lot more about them tomorrow when F is here. But this is the Jets. Moving along, the Miami Dolphins and the Washington. I gotta be honest. Let's start with Washington. I'm gonna start with the loser in this. That was embarrassing. I think personally, that was such an embarrassing loss for so many reasons. And I'll be honest, Mike McDaniel, they didn't lose the game, but that wasn't a great win either. Like, I didn't feel anything about that. That was 2 coaches who had no idea what they were doing. They were making awful 4th down decisions. I gotta be honest, I was kind of shocked. I really was. I was shocked at some of the play calling. I was shocked at some of not even the play calling, the decision making by some of the coaches on these 4th downs. Take the lead. It made no sense to me why they were going for it on fourth down, and we'll get to someone else who kept going for it on fourth down. The idea of the analytics of fourth down. And this is what I never understand. You see in the little bottom corner of all these games where, it says to go. It says you should go for it because you know that. It says you're going to get more points as the game goes along. Dude, you can tell probably in the first 7 to 8 minutes about how 95% of NFL games. You walked in there, no one was really scoring. It was not a high-scoring affair. Points are a rare. Tell right away, points were going to be hard to come by in this game. So if you're sitting there on 4th and goal deciding, we should go for it, take the lead, take the points. What are you doing? I understand Matt Gay missed some kicks in this Washington. And yeah, they're starting a backup quarterback. I don't. You should be getting those points. You can't be getting that close and then getting nothing in a low-scoring game where points are a rare commodity. You need to be cashing. Yeah, I understand you're cashing in touchdowns, but if you're not going to cash in touchdowns, take the field goal, get the points, get on the board, take the lead, put them in a position where they have to because I feel like if the game is tied versus you having the lead, the way you play the game is different. Why do you not want the lead? And same goes for Miami. They made similar errors in that situation. The only difference between was one won the game and one didn't. It's just... I think the only reason Miami won this game, I would argue, is because it's Marcus Mariota in the backup, and I understand that this game was a mess. Teams are not good. They'll be picking probably top 10 in the draft. And the fall off from the Commanders is so ridiculous. I didn't think they'd win 12 games. That's a lot to ask for a kind of old, a lot of different spots. I mean, I don't think has Terry played at all this year? Have we seen, how many games has Scary Terry played? I mean, all that money to still a very good wide receiver, just not healthy. Right? I think he's had 13 games. He's played in 3 games. He's played in 3 games. 4 maybe? Played in 4 games. Just what is the idea? At a certain point, what is it? What is the plan? I don't know. What's the plan for Washington? Are they going to get younger on defense all of a sudden? Probably not. It's going to take a lot of draft capital. Now you have not one receiver that's already banged up, a guy like Debo. Now you have 2. You have 2 30-year-olds who just are not going to be healthy for a young quarterback. And I'll say this, I was still in the market to pay Terry, and despite what's happened this year, I would have made the same mistake. I would have still done it. But I can't believe that he's just this hurt. He's just, and I think part of it is because you're not there warming up in training camp. You're not on the same page. Your body's not ready. As for Miami, big win. I think it's pretty clear that A-Chain is the best player on that team now. Off Tyreek. I know Jalen Waddle's good, but A-Chain is incredible. Done incredible. I don't know what they're gonna do with Mike, because, and I say this lovingly. I say this not even lovingly. I say this in a way where I'm not entirely certain what they're. If I look, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna talk about the Dolphins schedule because they're coming up. These are the next couple games. They just beat the Washington Commanders. They are now 4-7. They're 4-7. Is that what? 4? That doesn't sound. Not sound right. Hang on. They just beat Buffalo. They beat Washington. There's a very, very real chance that the Dolphins beat the Saints, beat the Jets, right? So that would put them at 6-7 if they win both those games. And then would have a shot to be at 500 if they can go into Pittsburgh and win. Is that not ridiculous? Someone look me in the face and tell me that's folks, this is nuts. sorry, but this is ridiculous. Then they get, after that, Cincinnati, and then it's tough. You got to close out at home against Tampa. And then you go on the road against New England. Tough game. But we've seen Miami win there before, and New England might play their backups. We don't know what they might look like. I'm not saying Miami makes the playoffs even, but I am saying Mike McDaniel's going to weasel his way into keeping his job. I think that's what happens. That's the craziest thing to me. I think Mike McDaniel's got a real shot to keep his job. As crazy as it is, I think there's a real chance Mike McDaniel keeps his job. And should he keep it? Probably not. But there's a real chance. There's a real chance Miami buys in and sees what he's doing at the end of the year. Saying, maybe. It's terrifying. And again, I don't think this Miami team is good by any means. But there is a very, if you squint at it, all chance Miami's able to do. Like, gosh, what a haunting image for Miami. I think you have to do another season of Mike McDaniel. Moving it along. Packers and Giants. This was an interesting one. We saw Jordan Love get knocked out of this game. We saw Josh Jacobs leave, which I don't think is very good for the Packers. It's part of their offensive identity. They're able to beat New York Giants 2020. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not impressed by this win. I'm just not. And to the Giants, I mean, I guess they fall in the same category. It was kind of a close loss that you just kind of have to stomach. I was not impressed by Green Bay for the most part. I mean, they haven't impressed the last 2 games. Like, I thought Giants might beat them. I mean, Giants are playing Jameis, who I think, to his credit, is the most fun, one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league. But really, like, this Green Bay unit, especially last year, was an incredible turnover. Not really that great until, like, the end. They got one at the end to seal it. This Giants team is so depleted, and yet you gotta give them credit. They're fighting. They're fighting with Mike Kafka as coach. But gotta be honest, I don't think Green Bay feels like a full team. They don't feel like a very strong playoff team. Like, if I'm going into the postseason right now, I would love to see Green Bay as someone coming into my building, or even going into theirs. I would not, like, Green Bay doesn't intimidate me right now. Like, remotely doesn't. I don't feel particularly worried. Like, I understand they beat Pittsburgh, yeah, but so what? They lost to Carolina, and, like, come on. They didn't look good against Philly. They struggled significantly. I get it, Philly's good, but they also lost at home to Carolina, and then needed, like, the entire game to beat the Giants. I'll give credit to New York. New York played solid football. New York played a competitive and close game. But if you're Green Bay and you're supposed to be a Super Bowl contender, this is not supposed to be a difficult game. I think I'm looking at it right now. This is a tough pill, but I don't think Green Bay is a Super Bowl team. Not with this roster. Not with this current roster. Not with Tucker Kraft out. I don't think Josh Jacobs had any structural damage to his. Not missing too much time. Such a core part of your team off that. Like a game can hurt in the short and the long. Listen, don't feel like a Super Bowl. Don't. Tough to say, but look at what Green Bay has done when you look at where they are as a team. We go to Texans, Titans. This is also like, I'll say this. I think Houston's is like a bad win. Again, it's the Tennessee Titans. I understand you're playing your backup quarterback. This team has 1 win on the year and probably should have it, right? So that's one thing. The other thing is Tennessee's bad. I won't put them in trash. There was a bad. I won't put them in the trash with this. Put them in the trash. This won't be. I gotta say. I don't like Houston. Right now, Houston is unbelievable. Like, I love that they have a good defense. That's about it. They've got little to no offense. If anybody can crack through that defense remotely, yeah, but I will give them credit. They started 0-3. They are now 5-5. Don't look now. Houston is still, they're on the outside looking in, but they're still fighting to try to weasel their way into the playoffs. As for Tennessee, they're done. They may have the number 1 pick again, which is crazy to think about, but they might. And maybe they need it. And honestly, I think it puts Tennessee in such an interesting. You're the Titans. You don't want to. You don't really want to win. I know you want to win. I know as a fan you want to win. I know as a player. But speaking logistically from building a franchise perspective, having the number 1 overall pick for Tennessee is useful. Because when you think about the bad teams, like the Jets, I would think of Cleveland as a possible example. I would look at maybe Arizona or the Raiders as possible. If you're looking at teams that don't have quarterback, want one badly, and what? Keep in mind, I don't know how entirely strong this quarterback class is. They're looking good-ish. But like, say someone really wants Mendoza and wants the number 1 pick, Tennessee is in a very good position. They just are. They're in a pretty decent spot. Unless they were wanting to trade Cam Ward for more draft picks and then decide, oh, we have a better quarterback. I don't think they're going to do that. I want to get an offensive. Hello? Oh no. Mic is cut. Hello? I think my mic is good. It might be a little lag. I'm so mad right now. It's like weird. It's glitching out. I'm not seeing it pop up on it. It looks off. Whatever. I'm just gonna keep going. If it cuts out, what is? I would say listen, Titans. It'll be interesting to see if Tennessee somehow has the number 1 pick. It'd be pretty wild. Enough of those 2 bad teams. Time to move forward. Let's go to the Jags. Ooh, credit Jacksonville, man. I'm putting them up there. That was a very, very nice win. I mean, listen, they're still outscoring the. Come on. 35-6 though, and that was big because the way they lost last. I mean, being up 19, a chance to really put Houston in the dirt, right? Make it difficult for them to take up ground. For them to lose that game really does suck. And they came out against, again, a team that they're going to be competing with for a wild card spot in all likelihood. They went out and they took it to LA. I understand the Chargers have some holes. I get that. But for Jacksonville, a team that also has some holes, for them to bully them the way they did, I want to give credit to the Jaguars. I still wonder, what Trevor Lawrence is he really good? Is he not good? How would anyone? I can never tell. Trying to figure it out. I don't know. It's gonna be something ridiculous. On up, dude. What was the score? What was the score of the game? Oh well, and then they get look at the Cardinals and the Titans the last 2. They could very much be in the playoffs. 6-4. They could be 8-4 in 2 weeks. Like maybe they're not, and they come out slow, but they could very much be 8-4. And again, they have both their games against the Colts. I know we're saying it's a lock the Colts win the division. Do not count out Jacksonville just yet. It is far from over in the AFC South. I think a lot of people are like, yeah, well, no. Yeah, okay, 14-20. This was very clearly a game. I had ETN in fantasy, 2 touchdowns. I'm a little annoyed that Tootin gets as many carries as he does. I don't know, man. Whatever Liam Cohen is doing, it's somehow working, and they have a winning record. If they lock in the next 2 weeks on the road against Arizona, against Tennessee, if they can get those 2 wins, and there's a chance that, obviously it's Jacksonville. I don't really trust them to necessarily win those games. But if they win those next 2 games, just what I hate about my phone, it never lets me go back and if they win the next 2, then they have home game against the Colts, home game against the Jets. At Denver is going to be tough, and then they close it out at Indy, at Indianapolis against the. I'm just saying there is real possibility that the Jags win this division. That's all. I don't think it's over, and I think it is I think, yes, the Colts are still the favorite, and they should be, and they've earned that. But I would not count out Jacksonville. I was going to say I'm selling my stock. I think I sold my stock recently. No, I'm buying it back. I don't care how much I have to pay for it. I am buying it back. Let's go, Jaguar. I'm excited. I don't think it's a guarantee, but I would be on the lookout. I think Jacksonville, if they can play the way they played against the Chargers, against these other teams, Liam Cohen might be good. Won't get Coach of the Year, though. It'll probably go to Vrabel. What it is. Moving it along. Who else played in the 1 o'clock window? Let's talk about my favorite team. Talk about my team. Talk about the Pittsburgh. I'll say it right now. Like it. That needed to happen. That needed to happen for a couple reasons. Number one, Natty, you need. There was actually a clip before the game. Big Ben was talking, Ben Roethlisberger, saying that the Bengals, for them to do what they did last time to the Steelers, is a 4.5%. People were clowning them like, "Oh, the Bengals, they're gonna sweep the Steelers." No, none of that BS, none of that garbage. Pittsburgh did what they needed to do. I would have liked some more sacks defensively, but overall, pick 6 from Kyle Duggar. Can't get mad at that. 2 defensive touchdowns is huge. The defense came out and they felt like they looked like a unit that was looked like they had something to prove after what had happened last against the Bengals. Yeah, this team closed and they closed it out. It was very rare. Pittsburgh struggles to close out games like they did it, and I thought it was going to go downhill, especially when Ray got ejected. They looked better. They were embarrassed by the way what Jamar Chase did to them last time they faced off. Now Pittsburgh locked them down. They did so much that he had to hit Ramsey's face. We did that. It was Hawk Tua, spit on it. Oh my god. I'm 23, and that makes me feel old saying that. Unbelievable win. I was impressed. I didn't think it would be thorough a thrashing as it was. Gotta give Pittsburgh a lot of credit. Their defense showed up. Now they have a big game next week in Chicago. They're able to do Williams and company and Johnson. But Pittsburgh showed up here when they needed to. They did what they needed to defensively. They got the win. They're still ahead of Baltimore. Baltimore's right on their heels. Both those games those 2 games are really going to be with the sides of the division. Good work by Pittsburgh overall. As for Cincinnati, let me tell you something. Now, I'm going to put y'all in trash this week. I got a right. I got a right to do so. Number one, come on, Jamar. Like, the funny thing is, I saw it happen. I was like, it's kind of weird. Ramsey kind of punches him out of nowhere. Like, I know Jalen gets into doing this stuff. Like, he's done it before. Like, you remember he did it with AJ Green, I think, rookie year or second year. So it's not the first time he's done this with a Bengals receiver. I was very shocked that he just hit him in the face. And I was like, something happened. And then I didn't think anything happened because on the replay you didn't really see it. And then when you're told, oh yeah, he spit on him, then you watch it again, it's like, oh, yeah, he did that. And then he's just lying about it. And I saw comments about it on the video about it. Like, oh, what do you want him to do? Do you want him to tell the truth about how he did it? Yeah, kinda. Like, it's called maturity. There's a certain point where you as an individual have an opportunity to show how mature you are. Now, if you make a rash move that's immature, would do the mature thing and say, yeah, that was really stupid of me to do, and I apologize for it, and kind of the whole thing. But Jamar's not going to do it. So say what you want about Jamar. He's a great talented receiver. He's one of the best in the league, if not the best. He's a little immature. Got a little diva to him. Almost every receiver does. There are very few receivers that don't in this day and age. Because you can't, especially because, and I think the reason why that is very simple. The NFL is so offensively geared. Receivers aren't allowed. You can't hit receivers. At any given point on the route. I think there's a certain diva mentality receivers have. There are very few guys that have had it. Like, that haven't had it. Larry Fitzgerald's one of them. I feel like T.Y. Hilton never really had that. To some extent, A.J. Green. I never felt like A.J. Green was a diva, but Antonio Brown did it sometimes. Julio never did. There's a lot more of high, like, diva-esque personality from wide receivers. It's rampant. But that was bad by the Bengals. Joe Flacco finally looked old. Especially coming off a bye. Not a good way for Cincinnati to coming off a bye and play. And Cincinnati, I'll also say it now. I'll take a look at Cincinnati's remaining schedule. Bengals are done. I'll confidently say it. I think the Bengals are done. Because a couple reasons. Number one, they have 7 losses on the year. Number 2, their next matchup. This is the remaining Cincinnati schedule. Here it is. Patriots, at Ravens, at Bills, Ravens, at Dolphins, home game against Cardinals, home game against. You're going to tell me, in order to have any realistic shot, you basically can only lose 1 game. I think you lose the next 4. Like, you have 4 games, well, 2 games against teams that are currently in the playoffs, and then 2 matches against Baltimore, who is fighting viciously to get in. This defense is historically bad, too. It's just another awful defense again. Cincinnati, no, not getting in. And honestly, you can make a case. Zach Taylor could be fired by the end of the year. That's my take. I think he should be fired by the end of the year, but we'll see. Bills and Bucks. Bills. That was a goated performance. I was impressed. I was impressed by Buffalo. Really, I was impressed by Josh Allen. Josh Allen just has the charisma, has the swag to him. 6 touchdowns. Unbelievable. Of course, we saw a little bit of 2019 Josh Allen with that awful interception, but there are sometimes these games where just the Bills ride Josh Allen and they're going to die by him or they're going to live by him. Lived by him against Tampa. I mean, listen, this was a huge game because losing Tampa would have been not good. I'll say that much. It would have been very difficult to have a shot at the AFC if they had lost to Tampa, but Buffalo is right there with New England. I don't think it's a guarantee the Patriots have that division. The Bills can still very much make a run. We see what happens down the stretch. But I do believe that that AFC East is not as wrapped up as people. Buffalo is still right there, despite a bad loss to Miami. I am upset that they lost that game because the idea of how are you going to lose to Miami in that position? I understand it's a division rival game. Rival games happen. Trip up against the opponent. Miami's not good. We all saw it against Washington. Miami's not good. So I don't know how you lost that game. As for the Bucks, still like them. Still really do. I don't even think it was a bad loss. I just think you're playing against one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Very tough to be able to stop that. Tampa, I think, will be fine. It's not a very strong division. I understand Carolina's right there, but I don't care. And I don't think Carolina wins this division. I don't. And we'll talk about Panthers. Tampa's still very good. I think Tampa's better than Carolina at majority of positions. Times in a row. Probably win it. I don't buy it. And lastly, let's talk about the Carolina Panthers. First, let's talk Atlanta. Atlanta, good God. And I'm going to say it's trash. Say it's trash for a couple. Atlanta, dude. Many good offensive players. You got too many like Bijan. You are wasting Bijan. Now Drake London is hurt. Now Michael Penix is probably out for the year. Guys, Atlanta's chop liver it hurts because really kind of like occasionally be like, oh, I hope they do something. Not this year. Same thing. Just it's what is there? What is there left? Drake London is hurt. Michael Penix is out. All that's left is Bijan. Bijan is benched or goes down. Dude, I know their defense played above its head, but really? How is it that Bryce Young has his best game every time he plays? Not even close. Like, it's legit every time. We saw it earlier this year when they're up 30-0. We saw it at the end of last year. We see it this year too. Bryce Young looks like amazing, but only against the Falcons. No one else. Because this team just lost. Panthers just lost to the Saints. Like, guys, they're not good. You can say division rivalry all you want. Saints are terrible. Tyler Shuck had an amazing... Like, come on. Really? Really? I know we like Shuck, and I want to see him. But, guys, Bryce Young's not it. And I'll give him his flowers. I will, to an extent. They won. Close win. They were able to get the win in overtime. Michael Penix, if Michael Penix plays in this game, real chance of terrible. Dave Canales, tons of credit to what he is doing. I think Dave Canales is a very good head coach for what's happening in Carolina. I do not think Bryce Young is a good coach. This has the feeling of like, or not the Atlanta Falcons. Well, kind of actually the Atlanta Falcons last year, but more so the Panthers have like a. God, who else collapsed last year? Someone else collapsed last year. Pittsburgh collapsed, but who collapsed in someone? It was Arizona. They have the Cardinals. They have Cardinal vibes right now. Gotta say, I just don't. Again, like let's pull up the Panthers' schedule, and we'll find out what their record is. Because here's the reality. Ready, Carolina? Here's the reality. Rams. Or no, sorry. At 49ers. Rams. At New Orleans, who you lost to at home. Tampa Bay. Seattle. At Tampa Bay. That is not... Guys. This is not okay. It's not... Listen, they may have 8 wins. I could see 8 wins. But it's not... It's not ready. It's not there yet. It's impressive that they're closer and that they're winning. Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, I think the thing back, much so, Bryce Young. But hey, you know what? It's what it is. But I will tell you right now, I do believe that Bryce Young is. Where it goes, though. It goes. I'm going to start. Let's play in the 1 o'clock. Chicago. Chicago, I don't even think it was a bad loss. I think, or like a bad win. I think it was a close win. Chicago was able to get the win. Being so good at closing that thing out. Chicago got a nice win against the Minnesota Vikings. As for Minnesota, that was bad, man. And I gotta be honest. I don't buy into McCarthy. I didn't buy into him at the beginning of the year. To think that he was going to put up the same level of production that did last year is just kind of ridiculous. And the fact of the matter is, guys, I'll say this about good quarterbacks. Good quarterbacks, even like kind of average to mid or even slightly bad quarterbacks, understand certain things. Like there's a best receiver on the offense. There is. There's a receiver that is the best one. Vikings offense, best receiver. McCarthy, for whatever reason, not hit him. Can't. And it's not like Jefferson's a bad route runner. I'll tell you right now he isn't. It's not like he's not getting open. You saw he was visibly frustrated. He's visibly frustrated. I think the reality is Jefferson is just not, it's not good enough for McCarthy. And to be completely honest, I know people will say, you know, you got to give him time. Minnesota doesn't, I don't think Minnesota can afford it. I just don't think they can because I think the ceiling is not high enough to spend time trying to make McCarthy great. I don't think the ceiling is there. If it was like an uber talented player who had like a rocket arm or crazy mobility, then maybe I could see it. Investment that it. There's not much meat on the bone for JJ McCarthy. I like the kid, but there's just not enough there. I don't think there's enough talent JJ McCarthy to invest long term over a series of years, especially for a team that I think has a very short window as it is. I mean, look at that division. Caleb Williams and the Bears are leading it. And they just beat you. So, I don't know. And for the Bears, credit their win. I still feel like they are in the position that New England was in now. It's like, who have they, like, they barely got by the Giants. They barely get by the Vikings, who aren't that great right now. It's not like, I don't want to discredit their wins. Coming from behind, that's a tough thing to pause. They were able to come from behind and get some. I worry about, for the Bears, and you play like a legit, okay, the Bears played like the Rams today. The Bears even played like Tampa, or I would even argue in the game against Pittsburgh, we'll get a much greater test as to how good Chicago Bears, in my opinion. Moving along, 4:00 window. Okay, let's do this. Go Rams, Seahawks. Rams. It was another close one. It wasn't a particularly strong win, but it was a close win by the Rams. They were able to get it over Seattle. Seattle, that is tough. That is a bad loss. Sam Darnold struggled. Looked like the old Sam Darnold with 4 picks. Not a good one for the Seahawks to lose, especially considering. Look at the division. Now the Rams, very strong. Not necessarily a strong grip because still right behind them. San Francisco. That is prefer rather than after play. Got to feel pretty good with a win against the Bucs. Have a little bit of a the Rams and now Rams. I think pound for pound, I can make it best team in the league. Listen, they have a lot to go. They gotta play Tampa. That's not an easy one. Carolina, I think they'll get Carolina, Arizona. They gotta play Detroit, and then they close out. They'll have to play Seattle again. We'll have to play Seattle, but they beat San Francisco and Seattle back-to-back weeks. Huge. Those are big divisional matchups. They get to play the Cardinals twice. They'll play Carolina. They'll play Atlanta. Rams could be in the making for the 1 seed, depending on how the Eagles close out. We'll have to talk the Lions. But I'm starting to think Rams are definitely up there in Super Bowl contention. I got to be honest. I think Jonathan Taylor should get it at the moment. But if anything is to change, I think Stafford, and craziest stat entire weekend, this is the first time in his Stafford has had a winning record. Like, that's insane to me. Like, he finally has a winning record. Like, that's insane. For a quarterback to be that good for that long, and put up all the numbers that he has, for him to have a winning record just now is credit to Matthew Stafford. I'm happy for him that he finally is above 500 for the. It goes to show also how bad Detroit is. Just saying. San Francisco, I would say a strong win. I don't think it was a goat performance. Arizona. But Brock Purdy being back, listen, that offense looked spicy. George Kittle was getting involved. McCaffrey had 3 scores. With Brock Purdy back at quarterback, I know Mac Jones was playing solid, and he was playing solid, but the difference is, I think people don't think about this, what Brock Purdy has over Mac Jones, a little bit more mobility. It allows you to move the pocket. It allows you to run certain plays that you traditionally can't run. Quarterback who does not have the same. I'm not saying Brock Purdy's like super crazy. He's got a little bit more mobility than Mac Jones. A little bit more statuesque pocket. Strike. Brock can ad-lib. And I think it plays in the same having him. I just realized I didn't put the Chargers on here after the Jaguars game. Chargers, yeah, that was bad. They might need their own category. The Chargers, that was not good. I understand you're on the road. Dude, you're in the playoff. You got it. I understand they're banged up too. Got to be better than 35-6. Not okay. Not okay for that. Arizona, I'll say bad. I listen. They're down. They're down tremendous. I gotta give credit. Jacoby Brissett, most completions in the game. You know what? Let's give him the little. Oh, good job, Jacoby. You did it. But I can't. Outside of that, Arizona's. I mean, James Conner's gone down early in the year. Now Kyler Murray's gone. I think Arizona's heading towards a Jonathan Gannon gets fired. Rebuild in Arizona. That would be what I would do at this point, especially when you look at where the state of the division. Got two. Seattle's great. Well, say Rams are great. Seattle and are both very good, right? For Arizona to it feels like it's heading towards. There's no really else to go. Close out the late game and Sunday Night Football, and then I'll do my Monday Night Football. Sunday night. Before Sunday night. Late games. Kansas City. Bad loss. I tell you, I know it was close. I think it was a bad loss for a couple of reasons. Number one, now lost to Denver. Now lost to the Chargers. Teams that are ahead of you. Lost to Buffalo. Right? So you're contending with a bunch of different teams. Wild card berth, and the team lost to Jacksonville too. Does not bode well for Kansas City right now. You're the Chiefs. I mean, listen, I think the Chiefs will still get a winning record. Like, I still think the Chiefs win 9 games. But at the same time, I don't think you're Kansas City right now. You're running out of time. You're at week 11. Doesn't look good. And I think the one thing I thought was their defense was going to nobody really feels that Kansas City's defense is that strong. Chris Jones is not really feels like the same impact. It doesn't impact. They're asking Mahomes a lot right now. And again, they didn't really make any moves at the deadline to even upon those things either, which was shocking. C. Rice being back, yes, it solves some things, but there's still some very clear. Say what you want about Denver. Denver won that game, and Denver looks like they are going to be winning that division. Chargers lost to the Jaguars, and Denver looks. I mean, we could be seeing a Bo Nix Drake May might just be the Peyton Manning Tom Brady for. I would be terrified if that's what ends up happening. But at the end of the day, that's what it is, and to see how things out for Kansas City. I think for Denver, I know it says close. I think that was a much stronger win. What they were able to do at home. Again, it's supposed to be the class of the AFC. Denver got a huge win. I think that is a huge win, and Chargers go down. Again, because Denver gets the Chargers again, but they're going to get the Chargers in their building. They beat the Chargers then. I think it's an open and shut case. That actually might be the last game. I think that actually is the last. Might actually be the Chiefs. Might be capping. Yep. So they closed Chiefs Chargers. I mean, the Broncos season could very much tilt based on those last 2 games. I don't know, man. Denver's defense, legitimate. Bo Nix, say what you want about some of their struggles early in games. He needs to deliver. He's got a certain clutch gene. Got it. Baltimore, Cleveland. Look, Baltimore. It was Cleveland. Like I don't even feel bad. Like in Cleveland, that wasn't even. It was a closer loss than I think people thought. That's why I'm putting. Talk Baltimore. I get it's division rival, but what the heck? Right? Like I would have thought they would have done. I would have thought it would have been a lot more lopsided. It was not. Guess you got to give. And Myles Garrett, another 4-sack game in which. Gosh, man, they used to get paid, but at the same time, it's like you're not winning those games. It's kind of wild for how good he is, talented he is. Kind of stuck in Cleveland. And of course, Sanders' debut. How'd it go? pretty much exactly how most people said it would. Nobody thought Shedeur was going to come in and play well. And the reality was, listen, no reason to expect he was going to. It is a bad team. It is a bad organization with not much defensive help, either on line, in the backfield, on the perimeter. And yeah, sure. Like, what did you expect him to do? Like, had you would watched him in preseason, you would like. There were some throws he made that were impressive. There were some other sacks that he took though were absolutely egregious. Listen, just not okay. Not a good performance from Shedeur. I would make the argument if Gabriel stays in the game, I think Cleveland could have won that game. Not good. And I understand, he'll have more opportunity. I doubt this is the last time we'll see, in my opinion. That was not a good first impression. Stay there, and I will. Baltimore continue nip on the heels. I'll close in on Thanksgiving. Now we get to Sunday Night Football. Eagles. That was, I'll say close win. I was about to say bad win, but honestly, you got to give credit to their defense has stifled Green Bay on Monday night, and the short week came home and stifled Detroit. So I got to give credit to the Eagles. They did spectacular. Pretty good offense, if not great, single digit, which is something to praise. However, there are still some questions about the offense. The offense needs to put it together. The offense is able to put it together in Philadelphia. As for Detroit, what on God's... What was that? And listen, I know he's the coach that goes for it on fourth down. No excuse. I gotta tell you right now, look at the situation. Like, he went for it on fourth and... Did he go? He didn't go. He went for it on 4th and 17. Thinking about going for it on 4th and 17. What are we doing? Right? Why is that even an option? I understand there's an aggressive nature. Team's aggressive mind. But you have to have a certain amount of awareness in a game. See that the game is close. Even early on, you got to think, man, points might be at a premium. Our defense is playing well. Their defense not to get points. Take it. I know it was windy. But you need to take a shot at it. Like, you can't constantly be going for it on fourth down. Going on fourth down. You're going to realize it's a defensive game. You need to be smart. You need to play for the field position. You need to be able to read the tempo read the room. Dan Campbell wasn't doing that. Not reading the room, not feeling out the game. To be honest, part of the reason why, as much as I love Dan Campbell's attitude, doesn't feel like a great coach. He feels like a good coach. Great coaches are able to feel out how the game is played and what is the best decision to make in that moment. Dan didn't do that. Dan did not do that a lot in this. You needed to evaluate what was going on and then make a decision. You couldn't just stick. There are times you need to break your principles in games. This game was one of those times, and just stuck to his guns. And I think that is a problem with some coaches. Some coaches are just so stubborn and staying in one way. Best coaches are adapt and improvise and overcome. Dan didn't do any of those things on Sunday Night Football, and it's why he had another loss. They're not nearly as good as they were last year. They're not nearly as on fire as last year. But I still think they've got a shot at the post. Not out of it. That was a tough one to stomach. Felt like it was there if you would, made it a little smarter and had taken the point. And of course, tonight, the Dallas Cowboys are playing the Las Vegas Raiders. 15 minutes now. Yikes. This is just... this is going to be a... You know what I hope this is? I hope at the very least this game is high scoring. I don't particularly like either of these, personally. Attachments one. I also think that these defenses are bad. So I'd be expecting Brock Bowers, George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, Trey Tucker to be having huge nights. I would hope so. It may or may not be the case, but I hope that it is the case. I want to see a high-scoring affair. We'll see where it goes. Tonight, I'm going to take the Cowboys. They just have a little bit more firepower in them than the Raiders. I think that quarterback. I think better overall offense. I think Hammers try to keep Dallas in the postseason hunt with tonight. They're going to need one, especially if Philly, if they host Philly this coming, which they might win. Don't be shocked if Dallas finds a way to beat Philly. I have them beat the Raiders on night because I all that great. I think Gino will have some big throws, make some plays, but ultimately probably on a. That just feels how it's been. Bro, tough. Anyways, and there it is. There it is. The rankings of Week 11. We got Week 12 coming up this next week. That should be another. That should be a banger. I want to actually talk. What? 12 game. Of course, we'll talk about the game tomorrow. But Week 12 is going to be fun. Thursday Night Football is going to be Bills Texans. Chiefs and Colts. That's a huge game for Kansas City. Off a bye. Divisional matchup between the Vikings and Packers. Steelers Bears should be fun. Bengals Patriots could have some intrigue if Joe Flacco plays well. Eagles Cowboys divisional matchup. Can't go wrong with that. We get a stink bowl. We get the Browns and Raiders. That should be fun. Bucks Rams Sunday night. 49ers, can Carolina prove they're legit if they can beat San Francisco? I might even say they're legitimate. Who knows? Probably not, though. There should be some exciting headlines for Week 12, and I'll be talking about that on Thursday. We'll have Phil returning tomorrow, hopefully. So that is all I have. Thank you guys for watching. And if you're watching here, give it a like, give it a share. By the way, 69 subs. What a nice number. You know what? We can just end it right there. We don't need any more subs. Nobody subscribe. Nobody more subscribe. Keep it at 69. I feel like it's going to be really hard to get 70 because people are just not going to want to sub because the nice number. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I am going to get ready for Cowboys. Hopefully Brock Bowers put together a nice night. I'd like to see a team put up more points. I've already won, but I kind of want to flex, flex a little. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys. Bye. Vegetables.